me welcome you to the Dun & Bradstreet Cedar Management Consulting Banking Awards 2016. I'm Brian Tellis, your host through the evening. To make the welcome official, let me call on a seasoned professional, Mr. Bob Carrigan, Chief Executive Officer and Director of Dun & Bradstreet, to deliver the welcome address.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Dun & Bradstreet, I extend my warmest welcome and sincere thanks to all of you for your presence here this evening. It's a privilege for me to be with you in India for the release of our publication, India's Top Banks 2016, and for the celebration of India's best performing banks through the Banking Awards. At Dun & Bradstreet, we have been tracking the incredible growth story of the Indian banking sector for many years. Today's event is made even more special given that we're releasing the 10th edition of India's Top Banks. This publication is a tribute to the tremendous progress made by the Indian banking sector during the last decade. And I frankly think that you not only deserve a great deal of credit, but a hearty round of applause. So I would like to congratulate all of the banks featured in India's Top Banks 2016 and the award winners tonight. I wish all of you the very best for the future. Thank you very much.
Before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to acknowledge tonight's event partners. Our platinum partner, Writer Corporation, travel and expense technology partner, Concur Technologies, our co-partner, Bank of India, our ratings partner, Smera Ratings Limited, real estate partner, the Vadhva Group, our television partner, ET Now, and finally, Cedar Management Consulting have come on board as our title partner. To Cedar Management Consulting and all our other partners, a huge, huge thank you. I'd like to invite the President and Managing Director, Dun & Bradstreet India, Mr. Kaushal Sampath.
It is my privilege to welcome you this evening to the Dun & Bradstreet Cedar Management Consulting Banking Awards 2016. These annual awards are a tribute to acknowledge and honor the most distinguished performers across the Indian banking sector. At this August gathering, I would also like to take the opportunity to announce the launch of the 2016 edition of Dun & Bradstreet's premier publication, India's Top Banks. As you know, this is available to everyone across the globe in over 200 countries, completely free of cost, and it is to showcase in the Indian banking sector. I would like to applauding all the banks that have been profiled in India's Top Banks 2016 and convey my heartiest congratulations and from all my colleagues at Dun & Bradstreet and Cedar to the award winners of the Banking Awards 2016. I wish them continued success in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sampath. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker brings to the table over 2 decades in banking and financial services with cross-border exposure to markets like the US, the UK, the Middle East, and indeed India. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Chief Executive Officer, Writer Information Management Services, Mr. Satya Mohan Yanambaka, to the podium.
Indeed, it's a great honor for me to share the dais with dignitaries and eminent personalities. Thanks, Dun & Bradstreet, for providing me this opportunity. Writer Corporation, as we are currently present in about 5 countries with 28 global standard delivery centers, we have established ourselves as a premium service provider. Having said that, talking about innovation, perhaps going by the context of this, this evening, I think, the way the entire financial services industry, the banking industry has adapted to technology over the past 2 to 3 decades is no words would be enough to praise it. And I've seen branch automation being the first technology revolution that happened. Post that, ATMs have come in place, core banking, now we are talking about mobile banking. There are so many, technology revolutions that happened over the past 3 decades. The fintech industry is doing quite a bit in terms of creating paperless economy and all, and it also trying to match the customer expectations. But the way I see it is, it's not just enough for us. when we are at the cusp of revolutionizing the entire financial, fintech abilities of the Indian industry, and we will be global beaters very soon. So in that kind of scenario, I would feel that it is not just enough if we match the customer expectations or try to just give customer delight, but we should think beyond that, right? We should think beyond customer expectations, right? Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Truly, ladies and gentlemen, the pedigree of tonight's speakers is, you will agree, of the very highest order. Let's show our appreciation for Chairman, Cedar Management Consulting, Mr. Sanjeev Anand.
Good evening, everybody. The theme has been disruption, digital technology, right? I just want a couple of anecdotes. I just did a book globally on execution excellence, and the point that I've been making even in the book is that, if you don't change in any business, right, your business model, right, the disruption is really across enterprises and businesses. And in a way, disruption is a negative, it has a negative connotation, right? But actually, in this context, it's a very positive term, right? And I think just want to keep that in mind, right? So another comment I'd like to make is we've talked a lot about branches, and we all know the numbers. I think DNB will know numbers better than I do. We've got around 150,000 branches in this country. The way we run the math as strategy consultants, the upper number could be around 350. But with a 7% growth rate, we're not going to get there. And I think to a certain extent, we're fortunate to be in this situation. So I feel that really going forward, if everybody plays their cards right, there are multiple stakeholders in this business, right? They're the banks, they're the fintech companies, they're the investors. There's really a great opportunity going forward, right? There's also risk of not doing the right thing, right? I mean, our own analysis and research and other research that we look at, is there's a potential revenue loss of 25 to 30% for banks if they don't get this right quickly. And whether you call them Generation Z or Z or Generation Y or Millenniums, I mean, there's potentially a likelihood of losing or not having another 25 to 30% customers because they choose to find banking solutions in a different way, right? We have a great opportunity here. It's disruptive, but it's positive disruption. There's gain for everybody. For investors, for banks, for companies, and it's really game on, right? So with that, thank you for your time. Yeah, thank you.
Well, it gives me great pleasure to next introduce our guest of honor, the very first chairman of the newly created Banks Board Bureau. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed our privilege to invite to the podium tonight's guest of honor, Shri Vinod Rai.
We are in the middle of environment which is churning, which is least forgiving, and I must say for us, the entire banking community and the financial sector, it is an uphill task to set things right and move ahead. But I must compliment the banks in taking on the situation front up, facing it, and settling down to the job of ensuring first that they clean up the balance sheets and get on with the job of ensuring that lending activity starts among the economic community. Recognition and resolution of those assets is a tough job. But then I think the banking sector in this country has faced these challenges in the past also. We did it in 91, we did it in 97, 98 when the Asian Tigers were folding up. We did it at the turn of the millennium, 2006, 7, 5, 6, 7. We did a tremendous job in trying to ensure that the Indian economy really gallops, and we were, when it was knocking on the doors of double-digit growth. The time has come when we need to address these challenges. We need to bring about a total redux, as I said earlier, because let it not be said of us that we had all the opportunities, all the warnings, all the skill sets, all the capabilities available with us, but when the challenge really arose, and posterity gets an opportunity to assess us, let them not say that when the challenge arose, we were found wanting. The banking industry has done it in the past. I'm very confident they'll be able to do it in the future also. And that confidence that I gather rests entirely upon the capable shoulders of all of you assembled here today. Thank you very much.
Honestly, we are privileged to have with us both our guest of honor and our chief guest, whom I'm about to introduce. It is our privilege to yield the podium to tonight's chief guest, the Honorable Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Government of India, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal.
E-lobby, very good concept. आपका पास पैसा है, जमा कराओ. गांव का आदमी भी मैंने उस ई-लॉबी में देखा कि पासबुक डालता है, मशीन खींचती है पासबुक और अपना आप उसमें अपडेट होकर के आ जाती है. पैसा जमा कराया, उसने कहा जमा हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, पासबुक डाली, विड्रॉल भी है, डिपॉजिट भी है और पासबुक का अपडेटेशन भी है. टेक्नोलॉजी का यूज होना चाहिए बैंक में. आपका एटीएम बहुत अच्छा बैंकिंग सुविधा हुई है, लेकिन उसमें चोरी होती है, उसको कैसे रोकें? इसमें कोई सुझाव हो आपके? ये 24 आवर सर्विस है, लेकिन थेफ्ट क्यों होती है? एटीएम इज ए गुड सर्विस. आई थिंक इस अवसर पर जो अवार्ड ले रहे हैं उनको मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं, और जिस संस्था ने अवार्ड देने का काम किया है उसको भी मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं. ये कहना चाहता हूं कि समस्याएं है, माना कि अंधेरा घना है, लेकिन दीपक जलाना कहां मना है? किसने मना किया है आपको दीपक जलाने के लिए? ये प्रकाश फलता रहे और बैंकिंग सेक्टर इस देश की इकोनॉमी में अपना बहुत बड़ा भागीदार जिसकी आवश्यकता है. तो ये जो भावना, ये जो भरोसा आपने जीता है, ये भरोसा बरकरार बना रहे, इसी विश्वास के साथ बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. जय हिंद, जय भारत.
Thank you, Shri Meghwal. May I request all our dignitaries to please stay on the stage. As the world's leading knowledge provider, Dun & Bradstreet, as you are aware, periodically brings out publications that reflect the state of the various sectors in question. It has been doing the same with banking every year for the past 9 years. This year it has teamed up with Cedar Management Consulting. The treasure trove of banking information is about to be officially released. To do the honors, as you might imagine, I will invite the chief guest, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal, accompanied by the guest of honor, Shri Vinod Rai, the galaxy of dignitaries who have regaled us at the podium this evening. I request you to preside over this special moment. And this special moment in question is for the release of the publication India's Top Banks 2016.
Top of the world with Times Network. And you're watching ET Now.
Reiter Corporation, a market leader in information management, cash management and relocation services with world-class facilities, secure logistics and BPO support. Reiter Corporation, an Indian multinational you can bank upon.
Heads or tails?
Heads.
Whatever you do, kid, don't win too much.
I never lose.
This boy's good.
Why should they have all the fun?
Criminal fights allowed. It's a criminal kind of crowd. If you're moving into your muscle, it's time to go bang on your figure.
I don't fight girls.
Take a look now.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
Who wants to play?
Sin City's where you're going with your eyes open.
Premiering on First Take, Sin City, A Dame to Kill For. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. Only on Movies Now 2.
back, ladies and gentlemen, to another wonderful Dun & Bradstreet Awards night. And so to provide over the entire ceremony, I'm going to re-invite onto stage our chief guest, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal, our guest of honor, Shri Vinod Rai, Mr. Bob Carrigan, and Mr. Kaushal Sampath. And ladies and gentlemen, to physically confer each set of awards, I will be inviting, in most cases, a dignitary to the spotlight. And to crown the first set of winners, please welcome Chairman, Cedar Management Consulting, Mr. Sanjeev Anand. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're set. To get the show on the road, we're exploring priority sector lending, and within that category, the best private sector bank. The award goes to Karur Vyasa Bank. From private sector to public sector, but staying within the category priority sector lending, the winner is Canara Bank. Thank you, Mr. Anand, for doing the honors. I request Chairman Smera Ratings Limited, Mr. R.M. Malla, to felicitate the winners in the category Asset Quality. And within Asset Quality, we are sniffing out excellence in the private sector space. For Best Private Sector Bank, it's HDFC Bank Limited. Moving on, extending the asset quality umbrella to foreign banks, Best Foreign Bank Asset Quality goes to Deutsche Bank AG. Well, with so much talk of financial inclusion in recent times, dare we leave out a category like Rural Reach, Best Private Sector Bank. Within the category is HDFC Bank Limited. Public sector banks are everywhere, and so the competition in the category Rural Reach, Best Public Sector Bank can get really intense. Then again, there's State Bank of India. Congratulations to our winners. Thank you very much, Mr. Malla. May I request the return of Mr. Sanjeev Anand for the awards, please? Well, the category coming up is Retail Growth Performance. We'll start with Best Private Sector Bank. The winner is IndusInd Bank Limited. Time to move on. It's still Retail Growth Performance with a shift to the public sector. Coming out tops is Canara Bank. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Mr. Anand, for doing the honors. Thank you again. Our next call on the Chief Executive Officer, Writer Information Management Services, Mr. Satya Mohan Yanambaka, to please join us on stage and do the honors. Well, technology adoption comes back into focus with this next category. In that space, it's Best Private Sector Bank to HDFC Bank Limited. Well, technology drives everything we do, drives banking, and definitely drives the category under the spotlight right now. Best Public Sector Bank, Technology Adoption. And that goes to State Bank of India. Thank you, Mr. Yanambaka. Thank you very much. I now call on the Chief Financial Officer, Writer, Safeguard, Mr. Sushil Sancheti, to please join us on stage and help us do the honors going forward. Moving on then to Retail, Best Private Sector Bank. It's a fourth award on the night for HDFC Bank Limited. Congratulations. Staying with retail, we are exploring excellence in the foreign bank space. Finishing ahead of the rest is Citibank NA. Retail becomes tonight's first category to gain mention in all three subcategories. after private and foreign banks. This one is for Best Public Sector Bank. And the award goes to State Bank of India. Thank you very much, Mr. Sancheti. Well, we're going global next. Best Private Sector Bank in the category Global Business is ICICI Bank Limited. I think for obvious reasons we are excluding foreign banks from the category Global Business, which leaves public sector banks up for review. Coming out tops in that space is State Bank of India. Well, the award ceremony distinctly shifts gears next. We're down to the biggest categories on the night. I request Mr. Sanjeev Anand to join the presentation panel once again. And so after 7 categories and 15 awards, it's down to the best banks overall. We'll begin with the private sector banks. The Best Private Sector Bank at the 2016 Banking Awards is HDFC Bank Limited. Well, we're scanning the banking landscape for overall best banks, like I mentioned right now. Shifting the grid to foreign banks, a lot tighter by way of competition in this one, but in the end, Citibank NA did just enough to take home this coveted trophy. Down to the final award of the Dun & Bradstreet Cedar Management Consulting Banking Awards 2016. Best Public Sector Bank overall is officially State Bank of India. Congratulations to our winners. Thank you yet again, Mr. Anand. We have 2 very special felicitations. The first is to celebrate the longevity of the State Bank of Hyderabad, which has completed 75 years. Let us show our appreciation to Mr. G. Krishnan, General Manager, who will accept the salver on behalf of the bank. Well, 75 years in business is outstanding indeed. Congratulations. So what would you say of 100 years? It was exactly a century ago that Karur Vyasa Bank came into being. It's our collective privilege tonight to felicitate the bank. I call on Managing Director and CEO, Mr. K. Venkatraman, to accept a token of our admiration. And since we are on the theme of appreciation, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a few moments more to extend our gratitude to the evening's chief guest as well as guest of honor. I request Mr. Bob Carrigan to present a token of our appreciation to the chief guest, Shri Arjun Ram Meghwal. I now request Mr. Kaushal Sampath to felicitate the guest of honor, Shri Vinod Rai, with a memento. Right. Thank you once again, sirs. Thank you so much. You may take your seats.
The awards presentation ceremony was followed by a panel discussion with esteemed panelists on the topic Future of FinTech in Indian Banking, from disruptive to productive.
Okay. I now call on Mr. Jayesh Bahadur, Economic Analysis, Group and Sales and Marketing Solutions, to raise a vote of thanks on all our behalves.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I consider it a privilege to propose a vote of thanks at the conclusion of today's event. This remarkable evening has allowed us to recognize the pivotal role that the Indian banking sector is playing in the country's economic development. I would like to start by extending my gratitude to our honorable dignitaries for the evening. It has been an absolute privilege and honor for all of us that we could hear insightful perspective from them on the role of the banking sector and the path ahead. We thank you for your time and enthusiastic participation. That concludes today's event. Thank you.
Well, That, my dear friends, as was just said, concludes the official business on the Dun & Bradstreet Cedar Management Consulting Banking Awards 2016. Thank you for being a really wonderful audience.
You are on top of the world with Times Network. And you're watching ET Now.
Writer Corporation, a market leader in information management, cash management, and relocation services. With world-class facilities, secure logistics, and BPO support. Writer Corporation, an Indian multinational you can bank upon.
Strong German shot glass with lifetime warranty only on Prestige. Now also with Italian Sebath valves for trouble-free operation. Designed exclusively for her Indian kitchen. जो बीवी से करे प्यार, वो Prestige से कैसे करे इनकार?
ET Now is the undisputed leader in English business news.
IRB Infra has filed the draft offer document for the Infrastructure Investment Trust Fund.
We understand that they are looking to raise around 4,300 crore and they were looking to include a green shoe option in it so that they can raise further more capital.
First with big policy breaks. First with news that shapes your world.
अगर रिलायंस की दरें सस्ती हैं, क्वालिटी के बारे में मुझे बहुत जानकारी नहीं तो समय बताएगा। तो मुझे लगता है कि सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स इसमें बढ़ चढ़ करके हिस्सा लेंगे ताकि उनके पास पर्याप्त स्पेक्ट्रम हो।
And when India Inc. rides the wave of change, they trust only ET Now.
Financial services, there's a lot of scope to grow. For the next 5-6 years, I don't think we need to look at anything else.
We are pretty confident that we will be able to manage this, including some of the production which will come from Gujarat.
Markets, business, politics, policy. Always first, always right. ET Now, the best in business.
Media monetization, video content.
When you think about the development of emerging markets, the places where we're going to source the fastest amount of our growth, where you have an entire population that doesn't have access to the largest portfolio, and now all of a sudden, by the press of a button, they can have that product delivered to them. It's done.
Mobile is the next big deal. Engagement with, potential customers.
Click to missed call is an example of learning about something that works well in India. And so the more we can talk to marketers about the details of how exactly what's going on and exactly what the expectations are of a phone are different, the more I think we can start to have a conversation that's concrete. We can start to have a conversation that's concrete.